It's been talked about and investigated for a number of years, but this seems to be the year it will finally happen. Today, Cypress Living CEO Troy Churchill will take us behind the scenes with Dana Hume. Dana is director of the Land Development Group for Johnson Engineering and has been the project design engineer for many of Cypress Co.'s projects, most recently the Oaks, and now the upcoming addition of traffic signals at the intersection of Bass Road and Healthpark Drive. Let's meet Dana. Well, we're in for a treat today. Troy, tell me who our guest is today.
So our guest is from Johnson Engineering. It's Dana Hume. He's been...
Good morning, everybody.
He's been with Johnson Engineering for quite some time. Johnson Engineering actually did the original work here at all of Healthpark, Florida. That was well over 30 years ago.
Yeah, you've had a long relationship with them. What makes it special?
They know all the answers. So and he always answers his cell phone, so that's the other part. But Dana and his team have done some tremendous work for us. It's pretty complicated with a mix of all the different types of, between individual residences to commercial to healthcare to multifamily. There's a lot of different uses that we have here on this property. So there's a lot of different intricacies that come with that, and their team has done a great job with that.
Dana, explain what your company does so people don't get you mixed up with the construction end. Explain Johnson Engineering.
So what we do is we do the design of all of the infrastructure associated with any kind of a development. So out here at Healthpark, we've done all of the roads, the underground utilities that nobody can ever see, the lakes. We have landscape architects on staff that help with the landscaping.
We have beautiful landscaping.
Yes, you have very beautiful landscaping, and a lot of that is not only the initial design, but it's also the upkeep of that. And I think that the Cypress team deserves big kudos for that, because they do a great job throughout the whole campus. And so that's what we've done. So as Troy said, we've been working out here since the inception of Healthpark. We did the original Healthpark medical facility. I was fortunate enough to do Golisano Children's Hospital, along with several other projects here on the campus. Currently working with Troy on the Oaks at Cypress Cove, and then we've got some very exciting things in the future that we're working on.
Yeah. Specifically today, we wanted to talk about the intersection at Bass Road and Healthpark Drive.
Yep.
I've lived here for 3 years, and I've always wondered, why isn't there some kind of traffic control out there? But finally, it's going to happen, some kind of traffic control. So you're dealing with a situation where Bass Road is a county road.
That is correct.
And then the intersecting road is a private road. Does that make it unusual or more difficult or easier to do something with traffic control?
A little bit of both, to be honest with you. So it makes it a little bit easier in the fact that because we have private roads, the private development part of it can initiate stuff. So they can initiate it whenever they want to. If it was all public roads, county maintained, then you're more at their mercy in trying to get stuff done. So that's why we're here today, is to talk about that intersection, because we've talked with Lee County DOT, and we've got some suggestions and some recommendations from them based on some stuff that we've already done, some studies that we've done of the traffic. And so now we're ready to start to get started on it.
I should have asked you to bring statistics on what you found with the traffic. You have
I have some of that. Do you want me to share it?
I bet you it's unbelievable. Yeah.
So when we contracted with Johnson Engineering, they do different traffic studies, and they've done these a couple different times for our organization. And they were out in December of last year during some peak time. So peak time is kind of 7 to 9 in the morning, and then also from really 4 to almost 6 o'clock at night, as individuals are coming to the campus and or leaving the campus. During the morning, for that first 2 hours, we had a total of over 1,800 kind of interactions or movements at the intersection, either coming from east to west, north to south. And that peak time was really from that 7:15 to about 8:15 mark.
Right.
So the folks that made it to work on time, and then the folks that were just trying to get there on time before 8 o'clock. In the afternoon, it was closer, that peak time, very close to a similar amount of interactions, just over 1,800. But that peak time was from 4 to 5 o'clock in the evening.
Okay. Now, how do you begin the process of determining what kind of traffic control would work best for that intersection, or any intersection you're going to plan?
Well, it's pretty standard. When we get started, there's a couple of options. It can just be a wide open intersection like we have today out there. It can be a controlled access where...
Wide open like the Wild West.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
I said like it is today.
Yeah.
It can be a controlled access where they put in the concrete medians and they only allow, certain turning movements, whether it be a left turn, somebody coming on Bass Road, they could turn left onto Healthpark Drive, but you can't turn left out of Healthpark Drive.
I've been to those.
So
I hate those.
that's what we call a controlled access.
Okay.
Then there's the roundabout. It's getting more and more popular. And then the standard usual signal.
At our prior video, we talked a little bit about some of the options that we had and what those could look like. But we did get some good news, I feel, from Lee County DOT, and Dana shared with us last week. So why don't you share some of that?
So in past history, when we've talked with county staff about the intersection, they have come out and said, if we don't close that intersection down, we would put a roundabout in there. And a lot of people at that time, 10 years ago, one, they weren't familiar with roundabouts down here, and two, they didn't like them. And so we kind of just let everything settle. And so then recently, when Troy approached me about doing the traffic study, so that's what we looked at. We looked at a roundabout. What would a roundabout take? How much room would it take up? And we looked at a controlled access. And then we also looked at closing the median and what would happen in that scenario. And so when I talked to the Lee County DOT and gave them a heads up, hey, we're doing this study, wanted you guys to know about it, because at the end of the day, Bass Road is a county road. So, you guys obviously would need to be involved in it. So they brought up to me that they don't necessarily think a roundabout is the best idea for that intersection. They think that a traffic signal would be a more appropriate application for that intersection.
Do you think the hospital played any role in their decision on what the system should be? With ambulance traffic, etc.?
Indirectly, yes, because we did talk about that. We did talk about ambulances going around a roundabout with somebody, in the back. And that was when we did the intersection at North Healthpark Drive and Bass Road. They wanted us to put in a roundabout. We said no, gave them our reasons why, and we put in the signal there. And so the hospital they were responsible for putting in that signal at that time. And so that's, I think, with the change in personnel at the county now, that they're seeing it in a different light. They're seeing it more along the lines of the way that we have always looked at it. You don't necessarily want an ambulance going around a roundabout if you can. And so we were very encouraged by the comments from county staff.
Well, we've got an intersection very nearby that would represent pretty much what you think we'll have here. So
Yes.
why don't we go up to the chart that you have
Sure.
and let you point some of these things out.
Okay.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Absolutely.
So John, this is an updated map. Johnson Engineering also provided this for us that shows the entire 400-acre campus that is called Healthpark, Florida. And you can see all the different types of buildings, the available parcels or the parcels that haven't been built out yet. But Bass Road is kind of that dividing line. So to the west of Bass Road, it's called POA West. And then to the east of Bass Road, it's called POA East. And that's split up between each owner as part of this property owners association that helps us. And so as part of this approval process, once we get through these steps and get a defined plan and budget, then what we'll do is we'll take that to the actual board members of each of the POAs. They will approve it to then take on to the larger POA association for each area to get those final approvals so that we can start that, because the funding will come from our property owners association for this project. And then once the project is completed, it is then turned over to the county to maintain going forward.
Correct.
Very similar to our crosswalk that is further up Bass Road, kind of across from Golisano Children's Hospital. Dana, up here we have at North Healthpark Circle, and kind of it turns into Park Royal Drive along with Bass Road, we have a traffic light, correct?
Right. That's a fully signalized intersection with what we call mast arms. It's the bases with the arms that hang out over the roadway in lieu of the cable and having the signal heads hanging down off of the cable. And so when we did this intersection, we striped out some lanes for some future expansion. The poles are designed to add additional traffic lights on them if the traffic is needed. And so we would have basically the same type of scenario there that we have that we would be requesting down here at South Healthpark Drive. Right now it's a big sea of pavement, so we're going to have a much more defined lanes and turn lanes. There'll be a concrete median in the middle that will separate traffic as you're coming up to the signal. So from a traffic control, it's much more controlled. From a safety standpoint, obviously it's much, much safer than it is today, and that's the whole objective of what Troy and Johnson Engineering are trying to do, is to just make this intersection a lot safer, because we're getting a lot more traffic there.
Yeah.
This area is growing. People are using Bass Road as a cut through, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we know Lee Health, we recently sold, a few years ago, sold that property up there to Lee Health, and they have plans for additional medical office and other services there. And so we know the growth is still continuing to happen. One thing I really like about this plan is that we already have the crosswalk availability up here at this intersection. We have our normal crosswalk here, like we mentioned earlier, across from Golisano. And then we also, down here at the new intersection, will also have that crosswalk ability.
That is correct. That will include full crosswalks going in all four directions with your standard lights and buttons as you come up to the crosswalks.
Which really allows for that accessibility and really promotes the walkability of the campus that we've been working so hard on. And there'll be some other projects you'll hear about down the road where we're also trying to create some loops and create some additional connectivity to the campus from a walking perspective to increase the walking trails here. It's going to take some time, but
it will.
I think the goal is that we're trying to address the situation here. We have a strong partner that's working with us that is helping us kind of walk this through and helping with the design work. And then, I'm hoping we'll have the full support of the Property Owners Association to release some of the funding for this work to be able to begin.
Dana, been grand to meet you.
Thank you, sir. John, it's a pleasure.
All good information. Thank
Wonderful.
you so much.
Glad we could be of assistance today.
Is there anything else we want to pester him about, Troy, or should we let him go?
No, I think he's good. He's been a big help for the Oaks. We're getting ready to walk over to the site and walk through a couple of the areas, specifically on the water feature, and there's some work happening over there this week. So, but just thanks for taking the time, John, to film this update, and looking forward to getting this out.
Thank
It's
you,
real
John.
news.
It is breaking news.
All right.
I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Terrific news, isn't it?
And thank you again, Troy Churchill, for taking us behind the scenes.